Good afternoon from Southern California. Just got back from the East Coast yesterday. A little something different today. Not information or anything like that. I'm just kind of want to share a testimony. This testimony probably goes back close to 33 years ago or so. And that has to do with an encounter of two lost, broken people. And life has its way of ripping apart people's insides through broken homes, divorce, soul ties, and what have you. And yet God always has his plan to bring people together. I remember in this particular story, there was a night this man, he walked out of a bar, and in his brokenness he was tired of the violence and hate and just sick of life. Thought he was going to be dead by the time he was 25, and kind of lived like that, constant pushing the limits in his own sin, never able to escape the feelings of emptiness, the feelings of loneliness. Didn't disclose that to anybody, always kind of kept it deep down within, and whenever possible would break out in violence, simply wanting to hurt other people because he was himself hurting. That man walked out of a bar one night, and he had never known God, never was a Christian, never read the Bible. Walked out of a bar, and he basically looked up in the stars, began to talk to God like he was up there somewhere, and he ended up bargaining with God, like some people do. He says, God, if you're real, man, I need a change. I need something more to life, and I don't know where to look. I don't know what to do. And began to reason in his own thoughts, maybe there need to be some kind of change. He even made the slight confession, God, maybe if I, settle down, get a wife, a woman that I could give myself to, and not even knowing that this man was being listened to by this God he didn't know. It wasn't until a few months down the road he met another person, that man. She too was a broken individual. Sin had caught up to her. It's kind of like these two lonely people came together one night, not expecting anything, but they kind of hit it off, and things escalated, moved in together. And the thing is that this particular woman that he met was had her own knowledge of God in some ways. Her grandmother had taken her to a church, and so she had somewhat of a Bible understanding, but never really having a long-term relationship. It was merely things that she could recall from elementary school, the age of innocence for her. But sin had caught up to her also, and had stolen those things and stolen fond memories from her. I'm not sure if she prayed for anything to change, but these two people met, became friends, boyfriend and girlfriend. And eventually they both had an encounter with God. Prior to that day that they had that encounter, the young woman would often share with this broken man of his need for Jesus. There'd always be in times when there were, long days of partying, up at night talking, about everything, while they were on drugs and while they were, living in their sin. She would try to explain to this man how he needed to be born again and needed Jesus in his life. And he even persuaded this man to pray with her at one time, but because there was no church involved, that salvation experience didn't last long. It wasn't until a couple months later down the road, they were invited to church. They both walked into that church, having been up for a few days, and especially the man, he was always out of his mind, always drinking, went to church on drugs that night, had no idea that they're going to meet Jesus, but they both got radically saved, both got touched by the power of God that night, and because of their sin, it was like the light came on. They both made a decision. The man decided to go from the bedroom to the couch. And then over a period of time, a man moved into a home that was opened up to him, an apartment with another brother that was living for God. And, they would sit on opposite sides of the church during that time. They would communicate and say hi and, talk to each other, but they weren't forcing the issue in their relationship. They were both pursuing Jesus with all their hearts. About a year and a half into their salvation, they began to, about a year, they started a court, became in love, and about a year and a half or so, they got married. And they raised 5 daughters. Their last 2 they're still raising because they're twins. And tomorrow is their anniversary. And so that story is about myself and my wife, my girlfriend at the time. But we're going to be married 30 years tomorrow. She has been a tremendous asset to my life. A answered prayer. And a joy to my soul. I often refer to her jokingly as my rib, because God took the rib from Adam, made a woman for him, a helpmate. So I jokingly say that she's my rib, she's my lifelong partner. God has blessed me with a frugal, prudent, virtuous woman that the Bible talks about. And we've raised 5, like I said, 5 daughters together. We're now grandparents. We're getting old, and because of that, I just wanted to share that with you, that God has been good to us. And I'm looking for, should Jesus tarry, another 30 years. But if not, we both always talk about our one-day reunion in heaven. We always say good night to each other. When I'm out of town ministering or preaching, I tell her, before I tell her I love you, I said, I'll see you there. We're talking about heaven because we're both longing for the rapture. One of our deep loves when we first got saved was when we were still living together. And we both got our Bibles. I bought a brand new Bible. She had one, and we would talk to each other. Say, what are you reading today? How much did you read? Where are you at? And on it goes. And so, fast forward, we're going on 33 years of being saved, coming up in July. We still read the Bible, still talk about the Bible. Matter of fact, I think even more so now. My wife, her passion for the Word of God is fervent, to say the least, and about especially the last days. And so we're always having conversations about prophecy, and we are longing for that day when Jesus comes. And so I went and got her a special little gift today. Gave it to her because she's been a gift to me for 30 years. And so I'm so grateful for what God has done in our lives and what He's doing. And I hope that this somehow blesses you, encourages you. If you're in a marriage, that it's worth all the struggles, the challenges, to change and to grow together. My wife has done that, and we are continuing to do that. And so just share this if you like or enjoy it. But I just want to tell my wife, happy anniversary, honey. I love you. And I'll see you there.
Marriage is forever, and it's worth fighting for. So keep on keeping on.